Another wonderful day to talk sport on global television. My name is MC Ramsey, and of course, Manchester City made it a very sluggish start to the Champions League campaign as they actually drew 0-0 against Inter Milan on Wednesday. That was yesterday. It was a game that nobody saw coming. Details will be coming on your way as we proceed in the world of sport. What about things happening from the youth games going on in Edo State? Lagos seems to overtook Edo State when it comes to the world of boxing. Details of that will be reaching you this morning, and I will also take you to France where there is a jubilation going on. All these are hitting your screen from the world of sport this morning. Quickly, let me take you through what's happening from the Champions League, and don't forget that, of course, so many other games will still go on today. All right. Joining me on the conversation today in the world of sport to talk sport is James Extra Large. James will be joining me via Zoom. All right, let's quickly get to what is happening. Then we'll go on a quick break. After this break, when we return, James Extra Large will be joining us via Zoom. Don't go nowhere. Okay, talking sport this morning from the nation's capital, Abuja. Let's quickly take you through what happened yesterday from the Champions League. But before then, let me welcome to the program my guest today who is joining me from Benue State. Good morning, James Agbo, James the Extra Large. All right, as soon as the connection is established, we'll get him into the show proper. But then let's get to what is happening right here as Manchester City made a sluggish start to their Champions League campaign as they were actually against Inter Milan, and that game ended 0-0. Anyone will ever think that Manchester City were coming with a banger, with a trash, but then how did it really ended yesterday? It ended 0-0. Then looking at the other games that were played, Paris Saint-Germain also needed a last-minute goal to beat their tournament newcomers, Girona. Girona were newcomers, but then they were not an easy bone to crack yesterday for Paris Saint-Germain. Pep Guardiola's side have won all of their Premier League games this season, but failed to break down Italian champions into what we call a repeat of the 2023 final, won by Manchester City. City lost Kevin De Bruyne to injury at halftime in that game, and of course Phil Foden fired straight at Inter goalkeeper Jan Sommer with their best chances. Erling Haaland was kept quiet on the night. He was actually chasing his 100 goal for the English club. It was a very intensive game against a very strong opponent. We knew what was actually coming. They are a top team as well as they are used for winning. So they are used to winning already, but then yesterday it wasn't an easy bone for them to crack. Sometimes when you take some clubs for granted, this is exactly how it happens. So we're not really going to have it easy, and that was it. It wasn't an easy job. City's defender Rodon Diaz told the media. Henrik, of course, actually made this known. I'm talking about Eric Mkhitaryan, who could have won it for Inter Milan when he blazed over 15 minutes from time, allowing City to extend their unbeaten run in the competition to 24 matches, one off of the record set by Manchester United between 2007 and 2009. It is just the second time in 42 home Champions League games under Pep Guardiola. The City have failed to score any goal in that game. Manchester City, what is happening? Is it that you took your opponent for granted? All right, my guest is right here, and we'll be talking about the game yesterday. Manchester City, how did it really go? Good morning, James Extra Large.
Good morning to you, Ramsey.
Hello, good morning, James Extra Large.
Yes, good morning to you, Ramsey.
How is Benue State today?
Benue State is very fine. And how is the Federal Capital Territory?
The Federal Capital Territory is fine also. Quickly to the games that were played yesterday from the Champions League. Manchester City's game. What do you think? Didn't you think Manchester City were going to load their opponent?
No, not at all. If you actually understand, they are already Italians, champion. And just to add, quickly, this is actually a repeat of last season, Champions League, final that actually took place in Turkey. And so, if you actually understand how the Italian games, flow, they've actually risen in status. They've actually had, one or two additions, to the team, to strengthen. And again, it's actually a City team that they actually know. They've been studying them, in a while, and also haven't drawn their, home, their league match, last, weekend. They wouldn't actually want to follow this, up with another, loss. But again, we all understand, City's, pedigree in this, championship, and Pep Guardiola's experience. Overall experience in the Champions League. But again, it was a nice game, very compact. The talents were very compact. They came in and very prepared. I must give it to their goalkeeper, John. I was also very brilliant in the last Euros, and we saw those fantastic saves, yesterday. All of the short fire at him, all of the attacking prowess of City. He just actually had the way of stopping them. But by and large, the Inter Milan team came very prepared. They understand, standing the City team, they knew they were actually going to come, from, firing from all cylinders, and that was exactly they did the job, yesterday. They could have even got, all 3 points yesterday, but hey, it wasn't to be. As a former Manchester United player, Eric Mkhitaryan, couldn't just, bring his ball, down to level, to actually shoot at, the ball. But again, it was a fantastic game, yesterday. City did all of the things they were supposed to do, right, when they were supposed to do them, but of course, our mother luck was not on their side yesterday.
All right, luck was not on their side yesterday. Let's quickly move to the other game that was played with Paris Saint-Germain, as they look as if they will also have to settle for a point against European debutants, talking about Girona, who are backed by the City's football group, and of course they ran Real Madrid closer for several months in Spain last season before coming third. However, a goalkeeping blunder from Paul was actually what actually resulted in Nuno's mindless cross squaring through his grasp, and of course handed the French champions a victory. What would you have to say about that game, Paris Saint-Germain and of course Girona?
Well, it was a good game, and I want to believe that Girona Football Club of Spain will go home very satisfied that they actually came, they saw, they did eventually they conquer, but of course they did just enough to actually get at least a point from that game. I was quite shocked, so far by PSG's performance. It's not been convincing at all. Again, I don't know what's wrong with that team, but again, Luis Enrique would need to do so much more than he's doing at the moment. If not, he might just actually get the sack as early as January. Even in the league, it's not been too fantastic. with the boys. And so we saw that play out. It took a last minute intervention from Nuno Mendes to actually get a goal behind the goalkeeper of Girona. I felt so sorry for the keeper, who was fantastic all through the game. But of course, that little mistake, at the final minute, cost up the team or three. But of course, we could actually see the resilience of the Girona team. The surprise package of this Spanish La Liga league last season. They actually held their own all through the season, and they eventually they came to they just basically enjoying themselves. And I'm sure that's what the coach would have actually said to the boys. You know what? We're the underdogs in this game. We have nothing to lose. Just go in there, put in your best, enjoy yourself, and at the end of the day, let's see what comes out of it. And that was exactly what actually happened yesterday. And so we see how the PSG team, without any clear cut tactics so far, couldn't even break down the defense of Girona. I had to take that last minute intervention from the left back Mendes to get down past the goalkeeper. But again, it was a good game for Girona. I want to say big ups to the boys. Kudos to them, even though they lost their talisman for last season. Right now plays for Atletico Madrid. But again, they were able to do just enough yesterday. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, they actually lost by a good one. And I'm sure by the time they have this reverse fixture, the story will be different. But again, for Luis Enrique, he will need to do so much. Their attacking force is no longer potent. And no wonder big players have actually left that team. There's something fundamentally wrong with the players this team. And I'll see them suffer from the middle of last season. And that struggle still continues up to now. No wonder people like Kylian Mbappe how to lead the team. Now we'll actually see what's actually not happening there. But again, a good game for Girona, even though they actually left empty-handed. But again, Luis Enrique will do so much more to actually get something of this in this year's UEFA Championship. Because we know for the C2 group who are actually backing it, who are funding the team, that has been the target. They won all their race to be won in the French league. Now they want the UEFA Champions League. It doesn't look like this season is still not that season, they will get it. So again, they'll need to up their game to be able to challenge the likes of Manchester City, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, or even Borussia Dortmund in this year's UEFA Champions League.
All right, talking about Borussia Dortmund, let's quickly look at them beating Madrid last season. The runner-up for Borussia Dortmund, beaten by Madrid in the final, had English winger James Gittin to thank, as the 20-year-old came off of the bench and scored twice in a 3-0 win at Club Brugge. Of course, it was a very serious game, and Sekou Gusari actually added a stoppage time penalty for his first Dortmund goal since arriving in the summer from Stuttgart. Celtic began in style by also thrashing Slova Bratislava 5-1 in Glasgow and winning their opening game in the Champions League for the first time in 13 beautiful attempts. They've attempted 13 times, but this is the first time they are ever getting it. Liam Skill, powerful header, but Celtic ahead. That one actually gave Celtic an edge. I call it a little edge ahead of the host, who struck again through Kudo for what I can call an early in second half before actually they were able to convert a penalty for a 3-0 as Kevin Wemmer pulled one back with a fine strike for the Slovan champion, who came through 4 rounds of the qualifying. Looking at that game, were you expecting anything different from what actually happened in that game, James?
No, it was actually a very open game. I knew any of these teams could not take it. Yes, the Scottish champion, Celtic, they've been ever present in this tournament, but of course, they've never really found a way, out, from, the first round. But again, it was actually a very beautiful moment to build, yesterday when they actually ran, riot, again over, the opponent. But basically, I think they will just enjoy the moment. I really don't see them, going, very far also, this time around. But again, they will just, be there, still getting the experience of the UEFA Champions League, still be ranked, just, up there as, team that always, participate, Yes, in Scotland, their powers, but of course, when they come, to Europe, generally, they're actually, far, far below there. But again, they will just come see what they can actually, do in the UEFA, Champions League, as usual, go down there, win, the Scottish League, come back again. Basically, that's, what it is. It's turning out to be, a jamboree for them. But again, just like I said, the results, yesterday actually, shows that probably maybe it is that year that Celtic will actually make, the difference. They have a very, good coach now who has, plenty experience, in the English, Premiership, and all that. We'll just see, how it goes. But again, I don't see them, going that, far.
Okay, do you see that penalty that was actually saved in Bologna's game yesterday as Bologna drew 0-0 at home to Shakhtar Donetsk in the Italian team's first ever Champions League match? Their first ever Champions League match, Lukas Rukowski actually saved an early penalty from Shakhtar's Gregory Solokhiev. Were you actually expecting that that penalty was going to be saved by the goalkeeper?
I don't know, not at all. But again, on the flip side, you also know that penalty, sometimes depending on the pressure, that the player is actually under. But on a good day, if you have good penalty takers, it's as good as if a goal up. But again, I must give it to the goalkeeper. I think he was the hero, of the match. Yesterday talking about the Bologna's, goalkeeper. Shakhtar Donetsk, I would have actually expected to actually, get, all 3 points, from that game, yesterday, owing to the fact that they've also, been in this, championship for a very long time. The Ukrainian, champions. Yes, you want to argue probably maybe because of the war back home, there has been a lot of, unrest. But of course, beyond that, playing a Bologna side who are actually making their, debut appearance, in this tournament, you expect, Shakhtar Donetsk to actually, based on their experience, get, all 3 points. But of course, football is actually not, mathematics. Bologna, came again to enjoy, themselves, knowing fully well that the underdogs are in that, encounter. And they actually, surely they enjoy themselves. And at the end of the day, the goalkeeper playing off, that's not safe, from Shakhtar Donetsk. I want to say, kudos, to Bologna. But again, they don't look like a team who will go, that far in this, tournament. For Shakhtar Donetsk, I won't be surprised if they make it, to the next round, because, that's, where they belong. For they've been, arguably the best team in Ukraine in the last, 10 years. And I want to believe that dominance, will actually, continue. It was just a bad day for them in the office. But again, we'll just see, how they rally around in that next, game. Probably, do all of the corrections. I'm sure, they'll be good.
Okay, look at the result of all the games that were played from the Champions League yesterday. Now let's take you to the game that was played between Sparta Brugge and of course Salzburg as they swept Red Bull Salzburg aside with 3 beautiful goals. And how did it really go? That goal actually came from Kankenem Victor Olatunji. If you hear that Olatunji, you will know that that brother is from the western side of Nigeria. And of course, I was so excited to see that he was also in the on the goal. As a matter of fact, the champions won for the first time in their competition proper since 2009, 2003. 2003 to be specific. I was actually trying to put it if it is 2000 or 2003, but it is 2003 that they actually had their first time in the competition proper. And as it is right now, moving away from there, other games too. Celtic of the winning Champions League starter with a 5-1 thrashing of Slovan Celtic. How did it really happen? They kick off their Champions League campaign, thrashing of debutant Slovan, of course, Bratislava. And as a matter of fact, other games that actually happened there, missed penalty, cost Shakhtar Donetsk in a goalless stalemate against Bologna. Bologna were held to a 0-0 draw, like we also talked about it earlier. And moving away from there, we also have other things going on from the world of sport. Sparta enjoy what we call Champions League return. It was a very wonderful one for them right there. And of course, we shouldn't also forget that some reactions actually came from the actors in the game. Who are these actors? Coaches have actually made statements, but I would want to know if the statements they've made is actually true or not. And these coaches and players making statements, and these are reactions to the game that was played yesterday. Reaction number one is coming from Simeone. As a matter of fact, Diego Simeone said, it was a game that they never expected. He said Simeone was patient as Alvarez still settling in Atletico Madrid. Manager Diego Simeone said this yesterday as he was very happy with how his big money signing Julian Alvarez has been fitting into his squad. It is one thing to get into a squad, it is another thing for you to fit in so that you can understand the squad. And how long does it take for you to understand the squad is another big question that a lot of people want to ask in every phase of life. But right now, Diego Simeone is so happy, so excited that his player is actually fitting into the squad. But he will remain patient with the Argentine forward. According to him, the 24-year-old joined the Spanish side last month from Manchester City, a very big club, of course, for a deal that was reported could be worth up to 95 million euros. One of the several statements cited by Atletico so far. What do you have to say about the statement that came from Diego Simeone? Is this trying to justify something, or you feel, James, that is the right statement that should come from a coach after a match of this magnitude? Over to you, James Extra Large.
I think the coach, Diego Simeone, is just showing support to his record signing this season. Julian Alcaraz, again, he won the World Cup with the Argentine national team alongside some Argentine great like Messi, Di Maria, and the likes. And again, we saw last season didn't really get much playing time as he would have loved under Pep Guardiola in Manchester City. And so he had to make that move. But also, you understand, before he actually made the move to Atletico Madrid, Chelsea were also on the purchase. They actually really needed his services, but of course that was not to be. He actually opted to go to Spain, understandably, because also City may not want to strengthen their rival. But so far, it has actually not turned out very well for him. I also want to believe that it's actually under the pressure of big money signing, which the coach is trying to offer his support, trying to actually lessen the pressure of the young man, because as a footballer, as a sportman, as long as you're under intense, immense pressure, it will be very difficult for you to give your best. And so that's basically what the coach is doing. So I think I stand with the coaching on this one. It's actually doing the right part, giving the player more time, to settle in and adapt, to the system. Atletico Madrid, a very intense system. I must tell you, if you actually understand, the internal working, system of Diego Simeone, a coach that demands so much, from those players, you actually understand why he's actually doing that spend time. And I see, back in maybe till the end of the season, well, Julian Alcaraz may not come out, that was smoking in his first season, but of course, hopefully in the second season, we'll see him just come to terms and then adapt to the system there. So I want to give the thumbs up on this one. He's doing all the right things, at the right time, offering the players not just emotional support, but also physical support, defending all of his performances so far. Hoping that at the end of the day, it will actually pay off. That's the way to go about it. So it's just trying to show support, standing over the guards, this right time. Because I tell you, if you actually understand football, if you actually know how playing football before you understand four strikers, it is usually very, very frustrating when they get to play week in, week out, and they're not getting to score. So the only evidence that you show that you are actually a good player, a good striker, is you scoring goals in the match. And at the moment, Julian Alcaraz doing that's actually working for him. And so it's only not just right, for the coach who had so much faith in him, and I believe so much in his ability, and has paid so much money, that amount of money, record signing for the club, just like rightly said earlier on, to keep supporting the player until the player finds his space. So that's what he's doing. And also thumbs up to the coach. He's on the right path. And I just want to believe it's just a matter of time before Julian Alcaraz start firing from all cylinders.
All right, thank you very much. That is the voice of James Extra Larger. He's sport analyst, and of course, he is part of the Talk Sports show this morning. Before we go on break, just know that when we return from this break, we'll talk about a few reactions. Then we get back to what is happening in Nigeria. Something is fishy somewhere at the camp of the under-20 team right now, the Eaglet, where the screening is going on. There is some form of interference. We'll talk about that when we return from this break. And of course, we will also look at what is happening from Edo State, the National Youth Games after this break. Don't go nowhere.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Oh, that goal! Beautiful work from the
Van Dijk hails Liverpool's claim and response in the win over AC Milan. Talk Sports still live on your screen. And of course, we are taking you through the things happening from the world of sport. We started with the result of the Champions League, where I also have James Extra Large joining me on the show this beautiful Thursday morning. Now we want to talk about Van Dijk, who has hailed Liverpool's calm response over AC Milan's game. Van Dijk actually saluted Liverpool's calm response to conceding the early goal. As a matter of fact, a very big thank you to various sport fans across the globe, the likes of Samson, very fantastic sport fan. Of course, Van Dijk actually said so many things, and he saluted Liverpool for their calm response to conceding an early goal against AC Milan as they actually bounced back to win 3-1 in their Champions League opener. Liverpool captain Van Dijk had also admitted his side looked likely they had no plan during a shock 1-0 home defeat against Nottingham Forest in the Premier League last weekend, and the Netherlands centre back was concern again after Christian Pulisic actually gave Milan the lead after just 3 minutes in San Siro. My God. That's Van Dijk right there. You know, sometimes you see this concern coming from players. James Extra Large, what do you think about this statement coming from Van Dijk?
Well, it's certainly not just a captain, true captain, showing support, for the team. We actually understand where it's actually coming from. The game, over the weekend against Nottingham Forest. A shock, debate for Liverpool at home. We really did not see that, coming. It wasn't like Liverpool didn't actually play a good game, that day. But of course, the goals were not just there. And at the end of the day, a former Chelsea player, Doyle had to steal all 3 points, for Nottingham Forest, and that's some sort of history. That actually dented the morale of the player. But of course, they knew they needed to act, come to the party, yesterday, to.
Okay. I think there is a network glitch right there. As soon as the connection is established, we will get to talk about that. But then moving away from Van Dijk's statement, let's quickly look at Girona coach Mikel, who have actually said Girona should be proud of their Champions League's debut. According to coach, the coach said this after his side had Paris Saint-Germain at bay until late in the game, only to fall to a 1-0 defeat after a blunder. I call it a blunder from the goalkeeper. If you watch that game, you know that was a blunder from Paulo Gazzaniga. As a matter of fact, despite the defeat, the Girona manager praised his team's effort and the performance of his goalkeeper. Some persons will say, well, you are the coach. If you don't praise them, who will praise them? Just like they will say, if lizard from a tree, if you don't hail the lizard will actually nod its head. I don't know what you think, but some persons may be of that school of thought. But then the goalkeeper was up in that game, but then the performance, he said, is not very bad. His goalkeeper was the one who actually did that blunder. The Spaniard admitted his players were nervous in their first taste of Europe's elite club competition. They were nervous. You can't take that away. But then he was satisfied as a coach with their game as they face a very top level team. You know how it feels. You know how it actually looks like when you have this caliber of team playing with this kind of team. You know the tension will be there, the composure will be there, the first time experience will also be there. But then the coach is coming out to say, well, no matter what, the performance was not bad. For me, he said for him it wasn't a bad performance at all for his boys, that his boys actually did well. James Extra Large, do you have anything to say about that? Okay, James is yet to join us. Then moving away from there, let's also talk about this reaction coming from Luis Enrique, who have actually compared Girona's match to childbirth. Oh my God. As PSG secure a narrow win, Paris Saint-Germain manager Luis Enrique admitted he did not enjoy watching that tense late win over Girona in the Champions League yesterday. And in his word, he said he think they were superior, but Girona played them a cycle and made things very dizzy. He said for him, he was dizzy. He couldn't watch that game because what he was saying was just too much, more than what he expected. And at the press conference, he was actually saying that game was not exactly what he expected. We said that if we don't do what we are supposed to do, there might be a disgrace and embarrassment coming. And the coach said that we are going to suffer if they take anything for granted. So they had to do everything to win, and it was very difficult. This is coming from Luis Enrique. Moving away from there, let's go to other things happening from other parts of the world. Okay, as a matter of fact, let me inform you and let you know that so many things are happening. The reaction demand coming from the coaches. Coaches always react when games are being played. It's either they are praising their team for doing well or they are lashing them for not doing well. James Extra Large, what would you have to say about coaches reacting to the performances of the player like Luis Enrique? Rightly said that, of course, he never expected what he saw in their game. Was there any surprises for you in Luis Enrique's game yesterday?
Well, I can actually understand the first of the areas of Sposa, Fabian, and the likes, Mendes, Akim, Ziyech, all these, great, players in the team, and then not, getting much, from it. You can actually understand the coach's, frustration. I just feel, you just have to look for a way around to motivate, the players. The abilities, of these players are not in doubt. Their potentials, what they can actually do on a good day is not in doubt. But, somehow, since the arrival of Luis Enrique at PSG, he has actually not done much so much for the team. And if you ask me, in the last 3 seasons, the last 3 coaches have actually been at PSG. Luis Enrique is the coach that has actually done the least, compared to coaches like Thomas Tuchel, Pochettino, that have actually coached PSG before. So you can actually understand, and I'm sure the pressure, from the City group is actually beginning to mount, on Luis Enrique. He's a coach that has so much, pedigree. But I will not subscribe to coaches who lashes, out at players when results, don't go well. I only just say, keep, talking to them. Look for other ways to actually bring out, the best in this, team. So I actually understand the man is frustrated.
All right. All right, thank you very much, James. Let's get to Nigeria now and see what is happening. And I'm taking you straight to the National Youth Games, a boxing gold medal that actually happened from Edo State as a stunning display of dexterity. I call it dexterity and perseverance, and of course, grit for Team Lagos as they were able to sweep all 4 gold medals in the boxing competition at the 2024 National Youth Games. The Team Lagos under 15 boxers actually dominated across the weight category, marks a historic achievement for the state in the sports history, particularly boxing. And as it is, this outstanding performance reflects the state's commitment to identifying and nurturing young talent with the potential for these athletes to thrive on both national and international stage. In one of the papers today, Daniel Amokachi, the bull who actually played for the Super Eagles, but then his career didn't go very well because of injury, and he has been in the coaching crew of the Super Eagles. He also talked about developing grassroots sport in Nigeria, and he was actually saying that because of a game that is actually upcoming. What would you have to say about this performance from the Lagos team so far, and what do you think other states should also do to encourage the youths to develop their talent so that in times like this, the glory will at the end of the day return back to the states?
Well, all we actually need to do is for the chief executive officers of the states, when I say chief executive officers, I mean the governors, to be able to rally around, their friends, individuals, corporate organizations, to come and actually put, money in sports, not just football, this time around, but of course, other sports, to create awareness, at the grassroots, level. When we're actually growing up, well, most of the public schools, back then, they have, football fields and some, sporting equipment to actually introduce this game, very early to this kid. But right now, I can tell you, all those are gone. You hardly see sport equipment in schools these days, owing to the fact that the space is actually used to do other things, and then prominent attention is no longer paid to grassroots sport, and that's what has actually brought about the age cheat thing they're actually seeing at the moment. I've also been following the national youth game, and I've gotten a lot of negative report how states, have become very desperate, just to win medals, especially, states in the southwest and in the south side of the region where you have, this governor have, much, money, at their disposal, to spend, to pay people who are, beyond the age limit, because the aim, is no longer just, to actually compete and get experience, but this time around, to win, and not just win, but of course, to win, at all costs. So it's actually simple. It's not a rocket science. Let the governors actually get, investment into grassroots, sport. Let them, get, corporate organization that will actually help in buying of facilities and, installing facilities, at that, grassroots level, to be able to catch, these kids, very, very young, to get, their attention, get their interest in sport, not just, focusing on football, but virtually in boxing, in javelin, in shot putting, in wrestling, judo, taekwondo, also organize, more competition at the secondary, school, level, to create, awareness, all through the length and breadth of, this nation. Not just wait till the national youth, games, and then you begin to want to gather kids, together. They will always, not give you the best. It should be all year round thing, and it should be, an investment. I've always, said, when you invest in children's, education, it's not just an expenditure, that's not it, but it's an investment, for the future. And that's not what you're actually trying to do. But we've seen recently, governors, not really been interested in sport, especially at the grassroots. And for Daniel Mokachi, I think he's actually right. You can't overemphasize, you can't over talk about these things. There are no two ways about it. As long as there are no intentional and deliberate investment towards development of sport at the grassroots, then let's just not forget about future stars. And that's why you see that playing out in the Super Eagles, as well as other national teams, the Tigers, the Tigers, and then you see Nigerian now actually using players, athletes that are calling expatriate. They go out there getting Nigerian players of who actually grew up in other countries that the government took out time to provide training facilities, and they bring them to represent Nigeria. Yes, they're putting on the jersey of the country, but again, in true sense, in essence, we know that this player don't actually belong to us. This athlete don't belong to us. So until we actually do the right things at the right time, and I always tell people, the best time to plant an iroko tree was after 20 years ago, but the second best time is today.
It's today. I think I like that.
Yes.
The best time is today. Thank you very much, James Extra Large. Let's quickly talk about something that is biting very hard at the camp of the under-20 screening that is ongoing. Government officials, agents, academic personnel are talking about academy owners have hijacked the under-20 screening. The ongoing Flying Eagles screening is what I'm talking about right now. The screening exercise that is meant to select players for the 2024 WAFU B Under-20 Championship scheduled for October and November in Togo has already been hijacked by government officials. What do they want? Football agents, what are you looking for? And of course, football academy have already hijacked the process to some of the players undergoing the selection process at the FIFA Go project in the Abuja camp, who spoke to the media, decided to stay anonymity for fear of being victimized. The exercise has already been completed, taken over by the infiltrators, leaving the Aliyu Zubairu-led technical crew confused. My God, why would you give somebody an assignment and you don't allow the person to do what the person is supposed to do? Some players, as I speak with you, are either sent here by top government officials with letters, oh my God, and of course by football academy or owners and of course agents all looking for sports on the team. What about the qualification? We are now getting to know where the problem of sport in Nigeria is coming from. At the end of the day, they go there and they don't perform very well, and they just come back and collect the allowances that they are supposed to be given. What would you have to say, James, about these infiltrators, government officials, agents and academy owners taking over the camp bringing in people that, whether or not they are qualified, are now being pushed and been pushed into the throat of the technical committee right now. What would you have to say about that, and what is the hope of Nigerian football as we try to round up because of our time?
We actually don't have, hope if we continue this way. Remember, I've talked about it before. Government, interest, and
all right. There is a little network glitch right there. As soon as we establish the connection, we'll let you know. But then I think if you ask me, I'll tell you that the problem that we have in Nigeria sport, not just in football, we are hearing this from the football, the under 20, not even, I don't know, from the grassroots, we are getting these children corrupted. No wonder when they get to Europe, it becomes a different ball game altogether. Yes, I'm back to you now, James.
Okay, I've actually said this is actually not the first time it has actually happened, but again, it's a big shame. And that has obviously been part of the problem we have in our sport in Nigeria. I've actually been part of the under-20 selection. I've had the privilege of taking the player to under-20 screening, and what played out was actually so fun. At the end of the day, a very good player all round, in every ramification, was actually dropped at the end of the day because someone in Sunday Dankaro House had to come at the last minute with some players who even didn't take part in that screening exercise. And at the end of the day, the player was actually dropped. And the country, I must tell you, was robbed of an opportunity of discovering a star would have actually added so much to the game by putting the name of the country, on the global map. So that's actually what happened. And if you understand also the issue Randy Wardrum actually had while, being the coach of the Super Falcons of Nigeria, where the man will always complain of, people in the NFF, top government officials, football, super football, agents, always trying to interfere, trying to actually force players on him, and the man will always refuse. It's just the same thing playing out, and it's quite unfortunate, and that's why you see we don't always get to perform very well.
Okay. The network glitch is part of what we are talking about. As soon as our time is already up, we won't be able to take more. But then I think this is a problem. And when this thing starts, you hear the instance James is given that he's been privy, at least to be part of the selection team sometimes back. And it was obvious that even at the 11th hour, people are being sent to camp and you are being forced to pick these players at under 20. What kind of message are you passing across? By the time you force these children into, these players into the team and they don't grow, they don't do well, at the end of the day, Nigeria cannot get on the global map. And that's the aspiration, that's the cry, that's the desire of every sport-loving fan of Nigeria. It's so unfortunate that Nigerians don't even watch Nigerian games right now. And these are the root cause of the problem. But then I think the authorities need to rise to the occasion. We need to get to that point where we can stand and say, well, whether you like it or not, this player is going to play. But then as it is, let's see how that is actually going to end. James cannot join us anymore because of our time. We're rounding up right now because our time is already up. But then we should know that these agents, these government officials are jeopardizing the career of these players because you just want to make money out of these children, get a share, a percentage out of the allowances they will be given after the game, whether or not they win. But then getting into the list is a fortune for a lot of people. But then what about the people that have what it takes to put Nigeria on a green light, on a global map, to make things happen for Nigeria? Talk about the Nigeria Professional Football League. You can see that somebody who is playing at a very low league outside the shores of Nigeria is more excited than playing for under 20, than even playing for the Nigeria Premier League. And that's so uncalled for. I think the authorities, the Minister of Sport and every other person that is an authority in the world of sport in Nigeria, beginning from the Golden Eaglets down to the Super Eagles, should do the necessary thing, the needful, to make sure Nigeria is already on the global map. A very big thank you to you, James Extra Large, for joining us on Talk Sports today, and we hope to have you some other time, even though the network glitch didn't allow us to actually say bye-bye to our fans, but then it's so good that you were there and your contribution was massive. Thank you very much, viewers, for being there. We'll come on your way again, same time, same station, and that's going to be tomorrow. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Have a wonderful day ahead of you. Bye-bye for now.